All right, everybody. Hello, and welcome. I hope you're having a fantastic Friday wherever you are in this beautiful world. It rained all day long practically here in Kentucky, but nonetheless, we're here, and that's you're here, and happy Friday. Happy Friday to wherever you are. I hope you're having a wonderful Friday. You're enjoying this day, and you're having a great time. We're going to have a great time. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show, Mr. Producer, roll that fine footage if you would.
Fans of Bishop James Long, the renowned exorcist and paranormal expert on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. Now you can carry his wisdom with you. Our Bishop James Long collection features blessed apparel such as St. Benedict hats and tees, as well as home items to protect and inspire. Elevate your spiritual journey. Go to kgradb.com/shop and discover the Bishop James Long merch today.
All right, everybody. So there we go. So that's we want to let you guys know about that. Please make sure you go to our sponsor site. That's very important. Christmas is right around the corner. And if you go to that particular, our sponsor site, don't forget, 100% of the profits, thank you. No, thank you, Sarla. Thank you very much. 100% of the profits that would go to me, we are donating to the MKS Kids Foundation. It's an orphanage that is in Uganda. Will, that's interesting, but I guess they do that. I don't know. I don't know if they do that or not. All right. If you want to go to my website, you certainly can. Just my name, Bishop James Long, and follow that up with a .com. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to scroll down there, and there's a brand new book right there. It is my Paranormal Investigating Training Manual. It's over 260 pages. And please purchase that. And here's why. 100%. Thank you. Of the profit is going to the MKS Kids Foundation. So they received a $600 check, nearly a $600 check, which is wonderful. And we're making a beautiful. I'm telling you, we are really helping that community. So they are an orphanage in Uganda, and they are making amazing, just changing people's lives. So make sure if you just go to my site and scroll down, you'll see it. And you'll see the book. Just click it. Takes you right there. Very quickly, also, I want to talk about this. If you go to my website, click on resources, Jason McLeod, he's a buddy of mine, and he has a brand new book. I want to talk about this. This is The Dark Siege. I love the Dark Siege novels. But here's what's really cool about this. He turned this into a beautiful inside, kind of like a magazine for the book. It is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. This is just, I was really impressed with the artwork on this. I mean, just look at that. This needs to be made into a movie, but you can just go to my website, click on the resources link, and you'll see where it is. It's beautiful. It really is. But it's like a comic book, exactly. But really, honestly, one of the most important things that you can do tonight is make sure you please go to the sponsor site. So again, KGRADB, okay, and you follow that with a little .com. So moderators, if you could put that website up there one more time, and just click on the shop and then my name. And remember, we are really 100% of the profits that would go to me, we're donating to the MKS Kids Foundation. I am almost finished with the 7 Archangels book. So there's a few things that I've got to do, but it's not going to take long at all. I do have the book cover finished. So it is a book on the 7 Archangels. And I'll give you a little bit of a teaser. That is the book cover. Right there. Pretty cool, huh? So that's the book cover of the brand new book that's coming out. And I'm also, Judy Ann is currently finishing up on the demonology book that I have, as well as the book of Revelation. And so again, this is, I think when I talk to you about your talents and your gifts, it doesn't always have to be about money. When you help people, I talk about this, I preach about this all the time. It can also be your talent. So, I have all these books, the notes I've always had. I'm like, well, let's put them into a book form. And so, I wish I could win the lottery so that I could help, the MKS Kids Foundation forever. I can't. I haven't won the lottery. So what's the next best thing? Well, put your books together and, start promoting them. Let people know about it. And then, of course, we help the MKS Kids Foundation. Look, it's my work. I deserve, if I wanted to receive the payment for it, it's my work. Any other author who does this, they write a book and they get money for it. But we are a part of this community. I'm a part of this community. I don't own this community. I'm a part of it. And so I can write 15 million books, but unless you guys, if you don't buy it, then it doesn't do it MKS any good at all. So we're all doing this together. We're all coming together and helping the MKS. I can put the books together and you guys are purchasing. So I appreciate that. I do. So anyway, thank you very much. Oh, well, thank you very much, Mark. Thank you. And that's how we help. Now, if you want to go to the church's site, it's very simple. USOCC, and then USOCC, and then you follow that up with a .org. And don't forget that 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have night prayer. So if you want to join us for night prayer tonight, by the way, there's still time. There is still time to place your prayer petitions. So if you want to do that, you got to do that right now. Go to my TikTok profile. You'll find the video. It says place your prayer petitions in the comments by 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And there we go again. Your live is not eligible for recommendation, restricted to search results because it redirects users to purchase products outside TikTok. This is in line for you for the eligibility. Standards under our community guidelines, which we are updating to support the best. Here we go again. So now I can't even tell people to go to the church's website. I can't even tell people to go to my website to buy the damn book so that we can donate to the MKS Kids Foundation. This is getting frustrating, TikTok. I mean, this is stupid. So now we just got another little restriction warning. And so now I can't even tell people now to go to the church's website for night prayer. Dumb. Just dumb. So let me fix this. I guess what I'm going to have to probably do is start over again and restart it, the live, because, of course, TikTok's punishing people because, God forbid, if they actually tell people to go. Look, I understand. I get it. I understand the point. But we're doing a fundraiser for an orphanage. It's stupid. It is stupid. It's just dumb. This is just Big Brother at its worst. So now there's a restriction on the live. So I'm going to have to probably restart the whole damn thing all over again. I get TikTok I get the shop is losing money, God forbid, as if TikTok doesn't make enough money as it is. But we're doing a fundraiser for kids in Uganda who are orphans. Stupid. All right, so we're going to restart this damn thing on TikTok. Let's restart it. So stupid. Anyway, that's the nonsense. I just don't like that. To me, there is a real problem when you can't even tell people to go to a church's website without getting restrictions. That to me is a problem. We were doing night prayer. And I was telling people, okay, if you like to follow along for night prayer, just go to usocc.org, click on the night prayer, and we got a restriction for telling people to go to the church's website so they can follow along on the script. It's like, it's to the point where it's like, this is, this is, to me, in my opinion, I can say this now on here. I can't say it anywhere else, but this is absolutely 1940s Germany. It's ridiculous. Yeah, communism. Oh, anyway. All right, so we'll try it again, and we'll go from there. And welcome to the 21st century, folks. You can't even tell people to go to your church website. All right. So make sure you share. Everybody share on TikTok if you can, because we're going to have a great show anyway, regardless of what anybody's doing. Maybe that's what we'll have to do from now on, is do the promotions, let everybody know, and then restart the live. It's ridiculous that you have to go through that, but you do. That you do. Okay. Yeah. So make sure everyone. Oh, I got to fix this. Let me fix this monitor real quick, and then we can chat. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's it's what it is. What it is. There's nothing you can do. I mean, you can't change it. You can't stop it. You can't. Whatever. Okay. So bear with me while I fix this real quick. All right. Yeah, hello again. Hello, everybody. Hello. Yeah, don't stop believing. Oh, yeah, it's not going to stop us. It's just we have to work through it, and that's what we got to do. Okay. Well, tonight is Paranormal Friday Nights. Hopefully I can say that without having a restriction. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Okay. Yeah. All right, folks, let's get into this. Happy Friday to you. We're not going to let that get us down. No, this is Friday. I was talking to Judy Ann earlier today. Well, thank you very much, Donna. Thank you. I was talking to Judy Ann earlier. Now, guys, maybe it's me. I just have a problem with that moon background behind me. Thank you very much. I want to know your feelings on this. The moon background to me seems a little childish. It just seems a little cartoonish. But that's a lot of people say they love it, but I can't get past that. It looks cartoonish. So I don't know. It's one of those things. There's a lot of people. Maybe it's the moon background with the. Maybe I need to find another background that doesn't have a graveyard and a great big moon. Maybe it's something. You can find a background that's not so childish looking. All right, let's get into this presentation because we've got a lot to cover. I don't know. There's a lot of people who like it. Okay. Tonight, everybody, we're going to talk about. There's a lot of people who liked it, huh? Let's talk about supernatural experiences that cannot be explained, and some scary events. So, folks, what I'm going to talk to you about tonight is a true story, and not only is it true, to me it's terrifying. So let's go with this. And for those of you who are new, we do usually about an hour lecture or so. And then afterwards, we talk about whatever it is on your mind. Thank you very much, Donna. Before we get deep into the story, I want you to picture something simple. You're standing at the start of a very quiet hiking trail. The air is cool. The trees rise straight up on both sides like they're creating a hallway just for you. Nothing feels hostile. Nothing feels strange. But as you take a few steps in, the light changes. The sound of the wind gets softer. The air feels heavier for no clear reason. Yeah, we're live again on TikTok right now. You notice that there's not a single bird call, nothing. It's just you. And alone with trees that don't seem friendly anymore. For those of you just coming in, remember, I don't answer questions because I'm doing a lecture. And then afterwards, we can talk. That's the best way I can describe what is called the Bennington Triangle. Wow, 50% of you guys like it. Okay, all right. So this piece of land in southwestern Vermont looks harmless from the outside, but once you're in it, things change. Now, people say it feels like the forest is paying attention to them and not in a comforting way. More like it's waiting to see what you will do next. So tonight, I'm going to walk you through the disappearances that made this place infamous. All of these stories are real. The cases were investigated. People really vanished. And the strangest details were written down by searchers, locals, family members who had no reason to lie. And before the end of this, you'll hear some of the things that they saw, heard, and felt. And I'll warn you now, the reactions that people had, they were dramatic. They were scared, quietly scared, some, the kind of fear that lives in the gut. So we begin with the earliest case, a man who knew the mountains better than most people there. Somehow, he still vanished, like he stepped out of the world completely. So let's talk first about the true story of the disappearance of Mitty Rivers. So it's November 12th, 1945. It's a cold, gray day with soggy ground from a week of rain. A hunting party was headed up into the hills, and guiding them was a man named Mitty Rivers. Mitty wasn't just familiar with the woods. See, people trusted him the way you trust someone who's been doing the same thing every day of their life. He knew every single ridge, path, turn, every hidden drop-off. He knew this place like the back of his hand. And while leading the group back toward camp that afternoon, Mitty walked a little ahead of the group. Not far, just around the bend. When the others reached the spot, Mitty was gone. No cry for help. No crash of branches. No sign that he slipped. He was just gone. Now, searchers were called in immediately, and they covered miles and miles of terrain. They looked in streams, ravines, brush piles. Nothing. Not even a piece of clothing was found. Thank you. And one of the men who joined the search later shared his experience. His name was Samuel. He was a man who grew up hunting in that same mountain, who knew the mountain very, very well. This is what Samuel said. He was a search volunteer. He said this in 1945. He said, "We were calling out for him. The woods felt strange, not noisy like they usually are. I kept hearing something behind us, slow steps, same pace as mine. And when I stopped, it stopped. It was close enough that I should have seen somebody, but no one was there. And later I said Mitty's name out loud, just trying to feel like I was doing something. And right after that, the air around me got freezing cold. It lasted maybe a second or two. It did not feel normal. I knew then he was not alive out there." So search volunteers, they're not dramatic people. They don't usually talk about strange air or footsteps that stop when they stop. This wasn't the last time someone described that exact feeling. So many of the volunteers said something about the woods felt off. Some of them said that the deeper they walked, the more the trees felt like they were pushing inward, closing the space, making the paths feel smaller. So, someone said that they've been there. So 2 days into the search, one of the men reported seeing someone standing between the trees far from the trail. And he said the person's size and clothes, it matched Mitty. When he raised his hand to flag the others, the figure slipped behind a tree. And when the team got there, nobody was around. Even the snow on the ground wasn't even disturbed. That detail was never explained. And it wasn't dismissed either. So the man who saw it stuck by his story until the day that he died. And on the 5th day, they ended the search. No signs, no tracks, no body. Mitty Rivers simply vanished. And everybody, welcome again. Those of you who are just tuning in, this is Paranormal Friday. I'm Bishop Long, and we're having a very interesting conversation, a true story about one of the most spookiest woods you can possibly find, and that is the Benning Triangle disappearances. It's a really crazy place. All right, the next case we're going to talk about is the disappearance of Paula Weldon. December the 1st, 1946, about a year after Mitty vanished, an 18-year-old college girl, student named Paula Weldon, decided to hike part of the long trail. It was an ordinary choice. She'd walked parts of it many times before. She wasn't reckless. She wasn't looking for trouble. She went out wearing a red coat that would have been easy to spot in the woods. Witnesses saw her hiking. And calm pace, alone, nothing looked wrong. Thank you guys for the gifts. And one hiker who passed her from a distance said something strange. He watched her walk around a bend. And when he reached the same spot, only seconds later, she wasn't there. And when he reached the trail ahead was clear. It was open. She couldn't have run off of it. And she couldn't have hidden behind anything. She was gone. I have over 21,000 messages on TikTok, so it's better to the book to the face. And that was the last confirmed sighting of her. Now, when she didn't return home, a search began, and it became the largest in Vermont's history at the time. They used dogs, planes, trained teams, volunteers. Everyone expected at least a clue, a glove, footprint, something. Nothing. And while that search went on, Bennington Triangle, locals reported seeing things that they had noticed the days before she vanished. They weren't dramatic stories. They didn't involve glowing beings or monsters. They were just quiet details that didn't sit right. And one of the men who lived near the trails, this is what he told the newspaper. He said, 1946, thank you. Edwin T. stated, 2 nights after she went missing, I was working on my wood pile. It was late. I remember hearing a scream from somewhere up the ridge. Not a normal scream. It was deeper, like someone trying to yell through a thick throat. It lasted a few seconds and just cut off. I didn't go looking. I closed my door. Didn't come out again until morning. Thank you. Another local man named Raymond, he was logging in the area around the same week. And this is what he said. In 1946, I heard something running through the woods behind me. Heavy steps, fast. It didn't sound like a deer. It sounded like a person trying to move fast, but breathing too hard, like 2 voices breathing at once. When I turned to look, everything went quiet. The air around me got heavy. I stopped working that spot after that. This is crazy. So both men described something they could not explain. Neither had any reason to lie. They didn't even report these stories really publicly at the time because they assumed people would think that they were losing their minds, but they eventually did. And after Paula's disappearance, the town realized these stories had something in common. Something was moving through those woods at night. Something big, something not right. The authorities, they never found Paula, not a trace. Family never received closure. Her disappearance made national news, but even large-scale attention didn't help. 2 disappearances it could be coincidence, but they weren't done. The Bennington Triangle was just warming up. So when 2 people vanish without a trace, you're left unsettled. When 3 people disappear in the same stretch, a forest, well, the fear becomes heavier. People in the town began keeping their curtains closed at night. They told their kids not to explore the mountain anymore. And the older folks, the ones who spent their lives hunting and logging in that area, they began saying something that they had never dared say before. People started saying, this mountain isn't right. So the next disappearance didn't get the attention Paula did, but it rattled the people who were there. And it happened in 1949. And in its own quiet way, it pushed the region deeper into a kind of like panic that no one wanted to admit out loud. This was the 1949 vanishing. So the man who disappeared, it wasn't a tourist. He wasn't a kid. He wasn't inexperienced. Thank you, John. He was a healthy adult who knew the trails very well. His name wasn't printed in most reports, but several people saw him that day. They waved, nodded, exchanged short greetings. Everything looked normal. But he never came home. When another big search started, volunteers showed up again with flashlights, weapons, heavy coats. Some of them had helped with the Mitty and Paula searches. You could feel the hesitation in the air, they said. They didn't want to go back onto the mountain, but they did anyway. And that's when the strange reports began. Well, thank you very much, Starla. Thank you. A lot of people are offering beautiful gifts. Thank you, Starla. That's when the strange reports began stacking up. See, one of the volunteers was named Howard, and he gave a quiet statement that was not included in the official report. He was a search volunteer, and this is what he said. I was following a narrow path near a small clearing. I heard someone whisper behind me. It sounded like a woman. Turned around. No one was there. I figured I'd just imagine it, but then it said my name. Not loud, just close, real close. I started walking faster. The air suddenly got cold. My breath came out white. And this was early fall. It shouldn't have been that cold. And then I smelled something rotten, like spoiled meat. It made me want to get off the trail right then. I did not finish my route. I couldn't. Howard wasn't proud of leaving his assigned area, but he wasn't alone. At least 4 other volunteers described the same cold pockets. One said he felt something brush his shoulder. Another said he thought he heard something breathing right behind him, only to find he was completely alone. None of this proved anything, of course, but the tone of the search changed. People weren't talking about the accident anymore. They were talking about something in the woods that didn't like being disturbed. The man missing was never found. Family never got answers. The mountain kept its secrets. And if things had stopped there, well, it would have been a local mystery, a strange one. But still, something people could not try to explain away. But in the fall of 1950, the forest took a child. And the fear that followed never left. So it was October 12th, 1950. It's a chilly afternoon. The leaves were changing, beautiful. Farms around Glastonbury Mountain, they were getting ready for winter. An 8-year-old Paul Jepson was with his mom near the family's farm truck. She stepped away for just a moment to feed animals. When she came back, Paul was gone. No sound, no shout, no sign of struggle, nothing. Paul loved to explore. He wasn't the kind of kid who wandered far from home. And even if he had, the ground was soft from early rain, so they would have found Vermont. They would have found his footprints. Searchers brought in dogs, good ones, dogs that almost never failed. They followed Paul's scent straight up the slope of the mountain, which is interesting because they didn't see his footprints. And the trail ended abruptly. Not faded, not confused, ended. As if the boy had stepped into an empty patch of air. And handlers said the dogs refused to go any further. They pulled back. They whimpered. And one handler said that the hair on his arm stood up the moment they crossed a certain line of trees. A few days later, a woman who lived near the mountain told investigators something she heard the night Paul disappeared. She only shared it after the search had gone on for a while. This was what she said in 1950. Her name was Linda. She said, that night I was in my kitchen. It was close to midnight. I heard very heavy steps moving behind my house, slower than a man, but heavier than an animal. They circled toward my shed, and then I heard 3 taps, slow, not loud, just tap, 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 like something testing the wood. I looked out the window, but didn't see anything. And the next morning, I found prints near the trees. They weren't paws. They weren't any animal I know. They were small, but shaped wrong. I didn't report it right away because I didn't want people to think I was making it up. So again, for those of you just joining us, we're talking about the Pennington Triangle. So the prints she described didn't match local wildlife. The sheriff at the time politely told her that she'd probably seen something distorted, by the mud. But Linda knew what she saw. She never changed her story. And by this point, fear in the town grew quiet and tight, like a closed fist. People didn't want to go outside after dark. They didn't want to talk about the disappearances because talking about them made them feel too real. And a newspaper described the mood as uneasy, and that was putting it light. The worst part of the disappearances weren't over yet. And only 2 weeks later, the mountain claimed another victim. And this one changed everything. So for the moderators, if you would do me a favor, just kind of periodically put in the topic in the chat room so that I won't have to keep repeating it. Just let people know this is what we're talking about, the Pennington Triangle. Okay. This case is one of the most disturbing because it's the only one where a body was found. And even then, the condition it was found, it even raised more questions than answers. So this is what we're talking about. Thank you, Monsar. The October 28th, 1950, 16 days after little Paul vanished, Frida Langer, a seasoned hiker, she was in her early 50s, went camping with her cousin. During the hike, she slipped on some rocks and fell into a shallow stream. Her clothes got soaked, and she told her cousin that she was heading back to camp to change. The distance was short. She knew the trail very well. She never arrived. Search teams covered the area thoroughly, over and over. They checked every ditch, every ravine, every river bend. Volunteers came in from neighboring towns. They used dogs, maps, compasses, everything. Nothing. 7 months later, Frida's body turned up in a clearing that had been searched repeatedly. Every single team swore that they had been there during the earlier searches. And you can imagine what that did to people. Bodies just don't appear in already searched areas unless somebody put them there. She was too decomposed for a cause of death to be determined. There were no clear signs of injuries, no obvious signs of foul play, just a body where it shouldn't have been. A hunter named Mark, who had been near that clearing shortly before the body appeared, later described something that stayed with him. He said this in 1950. Mark P. says, I was walking past the clearing a few days before they found her. I felt this pressure on my chest. No pain, just pressure, like someone standing too close behind me. The woods were quiet, but it didn't feel empty. It felt crowded, if that makes sense. Like something was in the trees watching me. I left fast. And when they found her right there after those searches, I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever was watching me had been watching for someone else to find that spot. Thank you, Sister Tracy Ann. Mark never hunted on that mountain again. A lot of men didn't. So by now, the disappearances formed a kind of pattern. Each case happened close enough to build a string of dread through the region. Each one of them defied simple explanations. Each case left behind stories that didn't feel like exaggerations. They felt like warnings. And what came next were not disappearances, but encounters, stories from hikers and campers, residents who survived the mountain, but they walked away shaken. Some heard voices, some saw figures. There were some reports that they felt hands on their shoulders when they were alone. And this next part, we're going to dive into those reports. And, I think they're the kind of stories that don't go away once you hear them. So by the time the official search for Frida Langer ended, most families in the area, they stopped pretending things were normal. People didn't talk about bad luck anymore. They didn't talk about accidents. They whispered about something older, something hidden, something that didn't like to be approached. The disappearances were only the beginning. The scary part about this is these stories are true. And that's what's frightening about this case, or these cases. Because after 1950, the forest didn't quiet down, it changed. The people who stepped onto the mountain in the decades that followed brought back stories that were somehow worse than the vanishings. And they were stories from people who made it out. And what they described raised the same old fear all over again. So the disappearances slowed, but an uneasy encounter skyrocketed. Hikers started reporting the same pattern: sudden silence, thank you, disorientation, and the sense that something was pacing them through the trees. A man named Charles, who hiked the mountain in 1963, gave a statement to the local police. It was never made public, but the family kept a copy of it. And this is what he reported. In 1963, he says, "I was halfway up the ridge when everything went quiet. No birds, no insects, nothing. The woods felt hollow, like a building without walls." He says, "I kept walking and I swear something moved with me. Every time I stopped, it stopped. I tried to call out, but my voice didn't carry. It was like the air was swallowing the sound. I turned around to go back. The trail behind me wasn't the same trail that I came upon. I don't know how long it took, but when I finally came out near the road, it was dark. My car was only a 20-minute walk from where I started. I did not hike there anymore." Charles wasn't the only one, by the way. The stories repeated in eerie consistency, people getting turned around on simple paths. People, oh, you did? You've experienced that as a kid? People getting turned around on this simple path, people hearing footsteps behind them, people feeling watched. Now, one account came from a woman named Marie. She camped near Somerset Reservoir in the 70s. And thank you, by the way, all of you who are offering gifts. Thank you very much. I appreciate that on TikTok. And please know we help, we give a lot of gifts to the MKS Kids Foundation. So thank you for that. So Marie H., she was a camper, and this is what she told a local newspaper. She said, "I woke up around 2 a.m. because something was scratching the side of my tent. Just one long scrape. I thought it was a branch, but then it moved lower and then higher, and it stopped. When I looked outside, everything was dark, no moon, no stars. I didn't even realize at first there should have been stars. I zipped the tent shut, stayed awake until sunrise. I packed up and left before the sun was even up all the way." Now, some of these stories could be chalked up to nerves or imagination, but not all of them. A few were far too specific. One of the most disturbing trends came from hunters. Look, these were people who spent years in the woods, okay? So these were people who could tell the difference between an animal, a shadow, or like a trick of light. So they began describing tall shapes drifting between the trees, sometimes standing still, sometimes matching their pace. They weren't animals. They weren't people. They were described the same way again and again. Tall, dark, quiet, like silhouettes watching from places that no person could stand. There's a hunter named Ed S., who hunted the area for decades. And he told his nephew something that was later recorded. This is what he said. In 1984, there were 3 of them standing in a triangle. At first, he says, I thought they were tree stumps. Then one of them leaned forward like it was looking at me. I backed away with my weapon raised, but I didn't use it. I didn't think that it would have done anything. Then one in the middle tilted its head slow, too slow. I broke into a run and did not look back. These are, see, the thing about this, these are people who are hunters. They are experienced woodsmen. And these are not people who scare lightly. Yeah, I mean, was it big? We don't know. And when his nephew asked him why he never reported it, Ed said that he did not want people thinking that he was losing it. Because that was the theme with most locals. They saw something, they knew something, but they kept it quiet. But those quiet stories started adding up. Some hikers heard voices, not shouting, not distant talking, something closer, softer, almost conversational, as if someone was standing behind their shoulder. There was a college student named Lynn visiting with her friends in 1992. She described her experience in a journal entry that she shared later. This was in 1992, and this is what she says. Well, if you don't like it, John, you can just go someplace else. I mean, really. I mean, congratulations, you're trolling on Friday night. Really, that's what you have to do on a Friday night? What a life. Anyway, imagine a troll on TikTok. I mean, dude, if you're going to troll clergy on a Friday night, your life really is boring. Just saying. So this is what Lynn says in 1992. We were walking along the trail when I heard a man say, "Stay on the path." Clear as day. I turned around, no one was there. My friends didn't hear anything. I tried laughing it off, but later I heard it again. Same voice, same calm tone. I didn't tell the others until we were back at the car. I didn't want to freak anybody out, but something about the voice, it sounded close, too close. Guys, I'll get to your questions after my presentation. See, there's something, when some people go live, they just like looking at the computer or at the camera, and they want you to entertain them. But they're on to do a show, or do a presentation. I don't do that here. So when you show up here, especially on this platform, you know that you're going to be taught something, entertained, something. I don't just look at the camera and say, okay, what are you guys doing? Oh, that's great. I had lasagna today and had a piece of bread. And who wants to watch that? But I'll get to your questions in a moment. Oh, there was a former forest ranger who worked in the area for more than a decade and explained what bothered him most. Listen to this. His name is, it was in 2001. It wasn't the noises. It was the feeling that the forest was listening. I'd be standing still, listening for animals, and suddenly I'd feel like I was the one being tracked. Something would change in the air. The woods would tighten around you, like the trees were leaning in. I never saw anything, but that feeling never went away. This ranger ultimately retired. He quit because of that thing. Again, for the millionth time, I'll get your questions after my presentation. In a moment, I'm going to turn chat off on TikTok because it's getting distracting now. All right. These reports didn't fade over time. They actually only grew. The next set of encounters would shape the modern reputation of the Bennington Triangle forever. No ghost, not animals, not shadows. Something seemed intelligent, very aware of the people walking into its territory. All right, so by the early 2000s, the Bennington Triangle had turned into one of those places that the locals didn't joke about. Outsiders, they could dismiss it as superstition. But the people who lived near the base of the mountain, they knew better. They heard too many stories, saw too many strange things, and felt that pressure in the air that told them to keep their distance. What happened next? They were not disappearances or sightings. Nope. I appreciate that, JJ. These accounts. Oh no, you can unmute them. No, you can. They were just giving me a compliment. They were saying I should grow my beard out. You can unmute them. Yeah, you can unmute them. That wasn't bad. They were just saying that I should unmute. I've unmuted them. There we go. Yeah, they were just saying I should grow my beard out. Maybe I will. I've done it before. All right, the accounts came from people who were close enough to feel the danger, but lucky enough to get out. And they're unsettling because they show something with intention, something that didn't just exist in the woods. It reacted to whoever stepped into its space. So the next stories that I'm going to tell you are from hikers and travelers who felt that they crossed an invisible line. And the moment they did, something on that mountain paid attention. There was a young man named Ian who visited the area in 2013 with his girlfriend. Yeah, that's all, JJ. It's all good. It's all good. There are just so many trolls here. It's just you're good, JJ. Welcome. Thank you. I appreciate you being here, JJ. I'm going to give you a follow back. There you go, bud. All right. They didn't intend to go far. Just a quick walk before dinner. But the trail they were on shifted in ways that didn't make sense. And before we continue on, make sure everybody go to our sponsor site. I'm not going to say it because if I do, I get punished by TikTok. So make sure you go to this. You know where it is. I'm going to put it in here. There we go. Moderators, if you put that on there on the KGRA, if you put that in there, let everybody know. If you go there, click on the shop and my name, 100% of that profits, 100% goes to the MKS Kids Foundation. Okay, don't forget. So make sure you go to that site right there, everybody. Those of you who are watching on all the other social media platforms. And for those of you who are on TikTok, if one of the moderators could put that website up there, that would be fantastic. Yep. And look, Christmas is right around the corner. Right around the corner. So make sure you get that. Don't forget, you can also go to my site. And when you do, there is a fantastic book. There you go. Just scroll on down. There's the website. And scroll down to about the middle, you'll see the brand new book that I have. And if you purchase it, by the way, if you purchase that, 100% of the profits goes to the MKS Kids Foundation. 100%. 100%. We have to be very, very careful. Oh, it's a bishop. You got to put that an I in there instead of a bishop there. Jennifer, appreciate that though. All right. So make sure you check that out, everybody. That's very, very important. All right. That's all good. I appreciate you putting it in there. So let's talk about this. So again, a man named Ian, who visited the area in 2013 with his girlfriend, described a short hike that changed the way he sees the outdoors. They didn't intend to go far. Just a quick walk before dinner. But the trail they were on shifted in ways that didn't make sense. Now, you don't have to put a space in between that. You guys can put that in there. I just can't say it out loud, Jennifer. And this is what he said. It started simple. The trail looked normal. When we passed this fallen tree that was shaped like a fork, we walked another 10 minutes and passed the same fallen tree again. Same shape, same angle. I even checked for a notch. I saw the first time, and it was there. We weren't looping back either. We were walking straight uphill. Well, what you can do is instead of that, oh, guys, I'm getting really distracted here. Just go there and scroll down to the middle, and you'll see it. Okay? Okay. So at first, they chalked it up by a mistake. But they kept going, hoping to find a clearing, and instead the air changed around them. Ian said it felt thicker, like the space itself got heavier. And then the footsteps. Not their own, not an animal, something pacing them from somewhere just off the trail. This is what he said. Ian stated this. I told my girlfriend to stop walking. We did, and the footsteps behind us stopped too. When we walked again, they followed, same speed, same rhythm. It felt like someone, well, thank you very much, someone was matching us. I called out, no answer, but the steps moved closer. Not fast, just steady. Like it wasn't in a hurry. So they turned back and found the trail behind them that looked different, narrower, darker. And Ian said he felt something on the left side of his face, like someone exhaled near his ear. They ran, and when they reached the parking area, the forest behind them was silent, still, as if nothing had happened at all. Then a group of hikers in 2016 spent the night near the base of the mountain. At 3 a.m., one of them, a woman named Haley, woke up because something felt off. Now, she stepped outside her tent to get some air. And when she saw what she saw made her wake everyone else up immediately. This is what she said in 2016. The trees didn't look right. They were leaning in the wrong directions, like they were bending toward our tents. I didn't hear them move, but it looked like they had been moved. The shadows were too close. Everything smelt like wet soil. Even though it hadn't rained, I backed up and almost tripped, waking my friends. They packed up in the dark. And as they left, each of them heard something that made them walk even faster. Whispering. Not a single voice, more like several people whispering at once from somewhere deeper into the woods. Not words they could understand, just a soft, steady murmur that followed them until they reached the edge of the campground. When they reached the road, the whispering stopped instantly. That's kind of these, and what's so scary about this is there are so many people experiencing these activities in this particular wood. Now, the Bennington Woods are the triangle is quite terrifying. Not all encounters happen on the trails. Some happen in the homes. Well, thank you very much, Chris. Thank you. Kiss. Thank you. So some crazy experience happens in the homes that sit close enough to the woods to feel the mountains reach. There's a gentleman named Ray, and he lived in a small cabin near Glastonbury, who had an experience that made him move out a year later. In 2018, he heard something on his property at night. At first, he thought it was a deer, but then he realized deers don't move in circles. So this is what Ray says in 2018. He said the footsteps were slow and steady, walking a full circle around my cabin. Then another circle, then another. I waited by the window with a flashlight, but I didn't shine it outside. I didn't want to see whatever it was. Around the third circle, thank you very much, Chris, thank you. Around the third circle, something tapped the wall under my kitchen window. 3 short taps, thank you. I stepped back from the glass. The footsteps stopped. When morning came, I checked the yard. There were no tracks. None. Not even mine from the night before. And Ray said that the silence afterward was the worst part. It felt like whatever had circled his home was waiting for him to react. So watching for a sign of fear, and that was the night he decided to put the cabin up for sale. He moved out of the area completely 3 months later. See, when you line up all these experiences, the disappearances, the strange voices, the figures in the trees, the footsteps, the changes in the air, a simple pattern emerges. Not one anyone wants to say out loud, but it's hard to ignore. People aren't just getting lost in the Bennington Triangle. They're being watched, followed, disoriented, led off course. Vermont. Some vanish entirely. Some make it back just shaken enough to never return. The locals say the forest doesn't want visitors. Others say it's something old lives there. Something that knows the land better than anyone else ever will. Something that waits. And the next stories that I'm about to share with you, these are the ones that push the mystery beyond strange disappearances or even eerie encounters to a different level. These are the accounts that suggest whatever is in those woods may not be bound by ordinary rules at all. So you have heard the disappearances. You've heard the footsteps, the shadows, the voices, the cabins, the trees that shift when no one is looking. And those experiences alone are unsettling, but the next accounts push the feeling even further. These aren't just strange events in the woods. They are stories that step into territory that's hard to explain, even harder to forget. So people who talk about these incidents have something in common. They don't tell their stories lightly. They don't exaggerate. They don't dramatize. And most of them didn't even go public until years later because they didn't want any people thinking that they imagined it or making it all up. But that's what makes these next stories disturbing. They come from people who are absolutely certain of what they saw. There was a local gentleman, his name is Tom, and he hunted near Somerset in 1999. He had an experience that still makes his voice tighten when he talks about it. So he wasn't hiking at night. He wasn't exploring alone. He was walking toward his truck at dusk after a long day outside. And the moment he stepped near a ravine he had crossed hundreds of times, something changed in the light. He said it looked like the sky blinked. He said this in 1999. It was like someone turned off the sun for half a second. Everything went dark and then came back, but the colors didn't look right. The trees looked washed out. My hands looked pale. Then I saw something bright in the ravine. At first, I thought someone had dropped a flashlight, but it wasn't a beam. It was a ball, like a sphere. It wasn't touching anything. It wasn't on the ground. It was just floating there. Now, Tom said the light didn't move, and it didn't look like anything familiar. It didn't flicker, didn't sway. It just pulsed gently, almost like breathing. And he took one step closer. The air changed temperature all around him. Warm on his left, cold on his right. Then the light drifted slowly behind a cluster of trees and disappeared. He says, when it went behind the trees, I heard someone whisper my name. Not loud, not aggressive, just calm, close. I didn't stay long enough to look around. I walked fast to my truck. When I got in, my watch said I'd been gone an hour longer than I thought. The sun was lower than what it should have been. Tom didn't return to the ravine for almost 20 years. The next story comes from a pair of hikers who were on the long trail in 2007, a husband and wife. And they're known in local reports only as Rick and Diane. So they were used to hiking. They had done sections of the long trail several times. But on this particular afternoon, fog rolled in faster than they'd ever seen. It wasn't drifting. It wasn't settling. It was rushing between the trees. So Rick said that he grabbed Diane's hand so they wouldn't get separated. They walked slowly, calling out now and then to make sure they were still on the path. And that's when Diane saw something or someone ahead of them. A woman standing still in the fog, facing away from them. Diane said in 2007, she was wearing something dark like a dress or a coat. I thought maybe she was lost too, so I yelled to her, but she didn't move. She didn't turn. She didn't react at all. The fog got thicker around her like she was standing in the middle of a cloud. Rick squeezed my hand and said not to go closer. So Rick didn't like how the quiet the forest was. He said it didn't sound like fog. It sounded like everything around them had stopped breathing. Thank you. And then the woman slowly turned around them. Her face was pale, but not pale like a person in low light. Pale like something drained of color, like chalk. Rick stated in 2007 to a local newspaper, he said the moment she turned, the fog behind her moved like something was inside it. Not an animal, something bigger. Diane grabbed my arm and told me to go. We stepped back. She just stood there. I didn't blink. I swear it. And the moment I turned my head to check the trail behind us, she was gone. So was the fog. So it lifted. Well, I think he meant that there was no sound when the fog came in. It lifted as fast as it arrived, and they left the mountain the same day. Another story that came back, a forest worker in 2014 reports this to his boss, but he was marking trees for conservation work when he encountered something many people have talked about, but rarely in detail. He heard a sound that made him freeze in place. It wasn't an animal, it wasn't a wind, no machinery, something else. So in 2014, this is what he told his boss. It was low, but not like a growl, more like a vibration. It didn't come from one direction. It was all around me, in my chest, my teeth. I felt it in my jaw. I couldn't tell if it was close or far, and it felt like the ground was humming. Then it stopped, just stopped. And the silence that came after hurt my ears. So he said he left his tools behind, did not go back for them until weeks later. The sound never happened again, but he remembers it quite clearly because many people in that area have described the same thing, a vibration you don't hear with your ears, a sound you feel inside your body, not loud, not violent, just wrong. Now, also there was this account comes from a man who didn't want his name used at all. And he shared it anonymously because he said it still bothers him too much to attach himself to it. So he hiked the mountain alone in 2020, and he reached the ridge that he had visited several times. He sat down to take a break, noticed something on a distant slope. He said it was tall, silent, still, like facing his direction. And this is what he told me. He said it looked too thin to be a person. It was too tall, no color, like a tall shadow in daylight. It didn't move. I watched for it for 10 minutes, and it didn't move at all. Then the breeze changed. My eyes watered for a second, and when I looked again, it was closer. Same shape, same height, just 20 feet closer. And he told me I almost felt like trying to get up. So he didn't run. He didn't run at first because he was too scared to turn his back on it. And he walked backward, slow, careful, but the shape stayed still. When he finally turned around and ran, the forest stayed quiet. But he heard one thing before he got back to the parking area. It was a loud crack from the ridge, like something snapped a very large tree, not stepping on it, completely breaking it. See, all these strange accounts, lights, fogs, figures, voices, vibrations, layer on top of disappearances in a way that paints a picture that most people would rather not look at too long. So whatever is in those woods doesn't seem like a creature. It doesn't act like a spirit. It doesn't behave like anything familiar. It adapts. It watches. It reacts. It chooses when it wishes to reveal itself. And the disappearances may have stopped. The encounters have not. If anything, they've increased. So many people say this, and what comes next might be the clearest picture yet of something intelligent on that mountain, something that isn't afraid of humans, but might enjoy watching them get lost. So here's the next section. Again, for those of you just joining, and we're talking about this crazy forest. And it is this is an interesting place. I tell you what, this is very interesting. And we're talking about stories about people who've experienced this. So let's get into it. The more you dig into the Bennington Triangle, the more you notice a pattern in the stories. And we'll stop in about 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll get to your questions. People aren't just getting scared. They're being guided into situations that don't make sense. So again, for those of you who are sharing, please make sure you share this live as much as you can. We appreciate that. Actually, I did a presentation on Oikigahara Forest. I'm going to do that again. Probably do that next week. But yeah, please make sure you share this live as much as you can and keep liking it so that we can get into the algorithm on TikTok. Okay, so the more you dig into this Bennington Triangle, the more you notice a pattern here. They're being guided into situations that don't make sense. Paths rearrange, time slips, distances that don't stay consistent. Sounds move in ways that are deliberate. So these are not accidents. They're not coincidences. They look they look like something interacting with people, something shaping the forest around them. Well, the next set of accounts shows that clearly. And each one pushes the mystery into territory that I think it's even harder to dismiss. So there was a local named Kara, shared her story after sitting on it for 10 years. I shouldn't say she was a local, she was a visitor. She was 19. She and her brother visited the mountain in 2012. They went a lot. They were not inexperienced hikers. They knew the area very, very well. So she was considered a local. But during one visit, the trail they walked dozens of times changed. It didn't twist in a new direction. It didn't split. It changed. As if something rewrote the landscape. Kara, in 2012, tells a local reporter that halfway up the ridge, I looked around and said, this isn't right. The trees were too close together. The ground felt uneven. My brother said I was overthinking, but 5 minutes later, we reached a stream that isn't on the trail. It doesn't exist anywhere near it. It wasn't big, but it was running fast. I swear the water was too cold for that time of year. They crossed the stream and tried to find the trail again, but every direction they looked, the forest was unfamiliar. The air felt heavy. Sunlit dimmed, even those clouds hadn't moved in. Then Kara noticed something else. She said the forest was quiet, but I could feel something watching us, not from one direction, from everywhere. She said my skin felt like static. We tried retracing our steps, and suddenly we were back on the main trail. It happened instantly. 1 second we were lost. The next we were right where we started. She said, my watch said that we've been wandering for almost 2 hours, but it felt like only 20 minutes. Her brother refuses to talk about it. There was a solo hiker. His name was Elliot, and he had an experience that mirrored dozens of others. Only his happened in broad daylight. Perfect weather, easy trail. So he stopped to tie his shoe. He stood back up. Everything around him, he said, looked different. The trail behind him seemed narrower. The shadows looked longer. The air felt colder. Yeah, we've already talked, guys. We've said this a million times already. It's in Vermont. But what happened next is what unsettled him most. So Elliot, in 2019, said, I checked my phone and realized it was 30 minutes later than it should have been. Yep, you bet. No problem. I only bit down, tying my boot for seconds. I didn't fall asleep. I didn't faint. I wasn't dizzy, nothing. A 30-minute gap. When I realized that, I got this feeling in my chest like someone was standing behind me, not touching me, just close enough that I could feel it. And moderators, if you can just also keep reminding people, we're talking about the Bennington Triangle in Vermont. Thank you there, Bill. Thank you. So Elliot walked back to his car without looking back behind him. And he said the forest felt alive. Not with animals or wind, alive with attention. Oh, what happened to your car traveling to Phoenix? Yeah, a lot of people talk about that in Phoenix. One of the creepiest patterns in the Bennington Triangle encounters is the way the forest imitates sound. So people hear things they recognize, but only for a moment, and only long enough to pull them off the path. There's a man named Jake hiking with two friends in 2015. He heard something that still bothers him today. So they were resting near a slope when Jake heard someone calling his name. This is very interesting because someone, I think Chrissy mentioned the Oikigahara forest, which that's what I'll be doing next week. The Oikigahara is unbelievably intense. And we'll talk about that next week. I'm not going to get into that now, but many times this happens at the Oikigahara. So Jake says in 2015, it sounded like my dad. Same pitch, same tone, same way he says my name. My dad was not on the mountain, but I heard him call out my name, Jake, over here. And from the trees, I told my friends to stay put. And I walked a few steps toward the sound. Then I heard it again, closer, same voice, same words. Jake walked toward the sound until one of his friends grabbed him, pulled him back. And when he looked around, the forest looked wrong. The trees behind him weren't the same ones that he had walked forward. His friends later described what he saw. Peter, one of his friends, said that he told the local reporter if he had taken 3 more steps, he would have gone off into a drop, a steep one. It wasn't visible from where we were sitting, but the voice that he was following was leading him straight toward it. I yelled his name, and the voice stopped instantly. A lot of people talk about this forest mimicking voices. That's what makes these accounts so unnerving. Something in those woods knows how to sound familiar. It's what demonic entities do. Now, the next encounter came from a family camping near the mountain in 2004. Their teenage son, Alex, woke up in the middle of the night because he heard something breathing outside his tent. Not an animal sniffing around, not wind, breathing, slowly, steady, human. And Alex reported, I heard it right behind my head. The tent was thin, and I could hear each inhale and exhale. I didn't move. I didn't walk. It didn't move. It didn't walk. It just stood there breathing. I couldn't talk. I thought if I made a sound, it would come inside. And after a while, the breathing stopped. But when I opened my eyes, the tent was darker, like something was blocking the moon. He didn't look outside, obviously, until sunrise. He expected to see footprints or some type of sign of an animal. There was nothing there. But the dew on the grass around the tent was disturbed in a perfect circle. One of the strangest accounts comes from a group of 4 hikers. This was in 1991. The group was heading down the mountain when they saw an old man walking toward them on the path. He wore an old-fashioned coat. His shoes looked worn. His face is what stood out. The hikers said his expression never changed. Not when they waved, not when they greeted him, not when they stepped aside to let him pass. He just stared ahead, walking slowly with a stiff stride. One of the hikers in 1991 told the local reporters that when he passed us, we didn't hear his footsteps, not even a crunch of leaves. And he walked right beside us, and the woods stayed silent. When we turned around to watch him walk away, he wasn't there. He vanished. There was nowhere for him to go. The path behind us was straight for almost 100 yards. So people have reported that this old man, many people have reported this guy, always the same description, same stiff walk, always silent, and he's a ghost. Other people say he's a warning. Most people agree he's a sign that you've stayed on the mountain longer than you should have. So when you stack all these accounts together, missing time, shifting trails, mimicked voices, silent figures, I think something becomes clear. The Bennington Triangle isn't just dangerous, it behaves like it's alive. Something that watches, reacts, manipulates its surroundings. People aren't just getting lost. They are being guided, lured, pushed into situations that feel designed. Thank you very much. Thank you. So people who went missing, and people who hear voices, many of this is still unexplained even today. So if you choose to go to the Bennington Triangle, just be forewarned. You may hear voices and you may see things. The advice, stay away. All right, everybody, that is our presentation on the Bennington Triangle. So if you have questions, we can jump into them. I'll be more than happy to chat. And if I have a lot of articles too that I would like to present too. So we always take this time and I always try to. That was a 65-page report. So look, when you show up, like I said, when you show up to Bible study, when you show up to night prayer, when you show up to even Friday Night Paranormal, I believe you must present something. You can't just look at the screen and say, okay, now let's just twiddle our thumbs. It's a total waste of my time. More importantly, it's a total waste of your time. And so that's we don't do that here. So when you show up on Friday night, there's always a lecture on some topic. Next week is the Oikigahara forest, as well as a few other forests that we didn't get into that are quite haunted. The Oikigahara forest is really, that place, it's a very interesting place. All right, let me open up the folder here for our presentations for our, there we go. Okay. Yeah, so people are asking, will I be here? Yes, I will be here next week. I will, I don't take off unless I'm sick or I just can't be here. December the 25th is Thursday. But of course, we know that December the 26th is the day after Christmas. I'm still going to be here. And we'll have Bible study on Christmas Eve. We will have, because Christmas Eve is the 24th. So we will have that. We will also, I'm planning to have Mass at 6 p.m. on the 24th, and then Bible study afterwards. And then 31st is New Year's Eve. So we'll have Bible study on New Year's Eve as well. Okay. Agree. The Oikigahara in Japan is terrifying. Okay, so there are a lot of people asking questions in the middle of the presentation. So what's on your mind? Let's see. How do you know if God is real? A struggle because there's no way that this universe can create itself without structure. There is structure within the universe. It doesn't exist in chaos. So there has to be an intelligent design behind it. It is impossible, mathematically impossible, for the universe to exist, our solar system to exist, in which it does because it behaves structurally. There is order to chaos. So if there's order to chaos, there has to be a creator behind that. Okay. You know, there's a lot of people that talk about time slips. I tell you also who talks a lot about time slips are people who are UFO abductees. So please understand, only our moderators are allowed to put in caps, everyone, only because if a bunch of people do caps, then it causes the TikTok to lag. Okay. Well, JC, why does the Bible say, okay, here we go again. Why does the Bible say don't call anyone else on Father? Do you understand that the Catholic Church didn't even exist when Jesus said this? I think people kind of miss the point. When Jesus said, don't call anyone else on earth Father. Okay, the church didn't even exist then. You are aware of that. So he couldn't have been talking about the Catholic Church because it wasn't there. He was talking about the Pharisees. The Pharisees who had Lord titles. They loved to have titles and recommendations. They loved to be seen. And he was speaking specifically to the Pharisees. I don't know why this constant nonsense. All right. Would I go into the woods? Absolutely. 100%. Yeah, the Roman Catholic Church didn't even exist when Jesus said this. So he wasn't referring about the Roman Catholic Church. Do you believe something GP to spiritual realm when I don't know what GP means. So you have to tell me what that means. I'm not really sure. Yeah, I would go to the Alaskan Triangle. Absolutely. Sure. Yeah. Okay. That's the people ask me this all the time about are aliens demons? Friends, okay. Demons do not need spacecraft to fly around. Just think about that for a moment. It is not necessary at all for demons to be flying UAPs. So the only reason you have a UAP is because there is some form of species that's inside of them that needs it to fly around. Well, demons don't need this. So I'm not really understanding why a demon would be behind the controls there saying, well, this is pretty cool. So, yeah, good question, but no. Do the people in Ghost Adventures actually have demonic spirits attached to them? Well, yeah, look, yes. When I was at Ghost Adventures, when I was on the Bobby Mackey's episodes, I'm telling you, I was there. I saw it. And Zach was in trouble. Not only was Zach, but so was Aaron. They were both in serious trouble. So that place caused problems for them. Caused a lot of problems for them. Okay. Yeah. Listen to this. This is a very interesting thing I want to talk about. Well, I mean, my guardian angels, I keep my guardian angels. That's more of a private spiritual experience. So, okay, Alberto wants to know, how can we protect ourselves from these such entities? Very simple. Very simple. Do nothing that causes an invitation. Do not play with Ouija boards. Don't do seances. Stay away from locations that are known to be demonically infested. Don't do anything that's going to open the invitation or give the invitation. Do nothing. I'm telling you now, there's people who's telling you that playing with Ouija boards is completely safe. That's what they're telling you. That is wrong. That is absolute incorrect information. Why are you taking information or advice from people who haven't studied demonology? I've studied demonology all my life. I've given my entire life to it. Literally, I'm giving my entire life to this study. And I'm telling you, Ouija boards are horrible. Stay away from them. So that's it. Okay. Why? Because they've already been judged. Demons have already been judged. By the way, the idea that you're going to change a demon's mind is preposterous. It is that's ego. You're never going to change a demon's mind, ever. I've heard people say, well, demons can be good. If you believe that, then you don't even realize the devil's already beaten you. No, there are no demons that are good. That is wrong. That is incorrect information, and people should not be spreading that information. That is incorrect. That actually is quite dangerous, because I had a case where there was a girl, she was being picked on in high school. She was being bullied terribly. And she had read the Solomon and the Lesser Key of Solomon, and she went online and on social media platforms, and people are saying, oh yeah, you can do this. You can summon demons and they'll be your best friend, and you can ask them to help you, and really stupid information and just wrong. And so she actually did this. She brought in a Ouija board. She had these sigils, these demon sigils that, they told you to do on this video, that you can summon this demon so this demon can do your bidding. Well, the demon did its bidding, but the demon also went to her and said, now you have to pay up. And this was a very violent case of possession. So anyone who tells you that, oh, you can summon a demon and they can do your bidding and all this, I'm telling you now, they are misleading you, and don't listen to those people. That's incorrect. They are wrong. 100%, they're wrong. So, yeah, don't. Oh, sure, KP, absolutely. Yep. All right, so if you guys have questions, that's fine. But then I'm also going to read this one article that I saw. Can people walk around? They can walk around? I don't know if they want to. Right, doctor, absolutely. Okay. Listen to this. This is a very interesting article that I saw. It is. It's very dangerous. But that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of people that are spreading this information. Oh, a Ouija board, there's nothing wrong with that. Oh, a seance, there's nothing wrong with that. Oh, you can summon a demon, and demons do good, and demons do not do good. Please, if you're telling people that, please stop it. Don't tell. And I know people that are doing this online. Stop. People ask me all the time about tarot cards. My future is dependent upon my actions. So I'm not I don't place my future or my faith in a deck of cards. I don't. That's my personal opinion. So my future is not determined by cards. My future is determined by my choices. No. Rainer, can we help demon go good? No, there's no such thing. They've already been condemned. You will never be able to change the nature of a demon ever under anyone ever teaches you this, they're telling you wrong. And I know people who do this. People say, oh yeah, you can pray for demons and you can kind of show compassion. They don't want your compassion. They want your destruction. Look, all you have to do is think like this. Demons are fallen angels. They were in the very presence of God, and they still freely and fully rejected him. What makes you think, as a human being, you're going to do something that God couldn't do? You see, that's the problem. So the argument that you can change the nature of a demon is absurd on its base. It is absurd on all levels. So anyone who tells you that you can change the nature of a demon, they may believe this, but they are wrong. They are 100% incorrect. I've actually had cases where people listen to these people and, then they start, well, I'm going to try to change the nature of this demon. I'm going to reach, and then they start reaching out, and then they start praying for them, and they start trying to summon so they can pray, and then all hell breaks loose in their home, and they want to know why. Because you've given the invitation. They were in the presence of God and they still freely rejected God. What makes you think that you're going to change their mind because God couldn't? That is absurd. So stay away from anybody who teaches it. It is incorrect. It is incorrect. Okay. This is by T.K. Randall. There was listen to this story. It's a very interesting one. I personally believe, someone was asking me, do I believe in Bigfoot? I believe there's something out there. And the reason being is because there are far too many people, there are way too many people that are encountering this creature, whatever it is, and credible people. These are not people that are just trying to get on television or whatever it might be. One time, this was quite a few years ago, I interviewed a park ranger in Alaska. He was a native Alaskan. So he's in the woods. That's what he basically lives in the woods. And he is absolutely 100% convinced that he saw Bigfoot. And I remember telling him, I said, well, maybe it was a bear. And he stopped me. He said, look, I'm a native Alaskan. The woods is my home. I'm there every single day of my life. If I don't know the difference between a Bigfoot and a bear, then I wouldn't be a game warden, especially in Alaska. He's not selling a book. He's not doing anything. So absolutely, I firmly believe that there's something there. Okay, so listen to this. T.K. Randall writes this. And again, if you're trolling on a Friday night, your life really sucks. I mean, you're trolling clergy on a Friday night. That's pretty pathetic. I'm just saying that's pretty pathetic. Okay. According to local folklore, deep in the Florida Everglades lives an undiscovered creature with a skunk-like stench. So from the Yeti to the Himalayas to the Yowie of the Australian outback, dozens of countries around the world have their own version of cryptozoology. And that's what's so interesting about this. It's not just in the United States, it's all over the world. Now, while Bigfoot is by far the best known example of North America, Florida happens to have its own regional version of the creature. Now, this creature is known as the skunk ape. It's known for its wretched skunk-like stench. The beast is said to be 6 feet tall, resides in the swamps of the Florida Everglades, where it is rarely ever seen. And one man says who spent decades trying to track down the skunk ape is Dave Shealy, who recalls witnessing the creature firsthand in 1974. At the time, he had been hunting with his brother. He had only heard tales from family members. He says, we were maybe 300 feet from it. and was walking through the grasslands, he told Mail Online. And that's what got me started as a researcher. I've been doing this for a while, he said. Since then, Sheely has established his skunk ape research headquarters, written several guides, appeared on multiple TV shows, has generally dedicated his entire life to the phenomenon. He has also a collection of footprints and other alleged skunk ape artifacts. Skunk apes are generally reported as being 6.5 feet tall, maybe 7 feet tall, he said. A large male skunk ape is good, healthy, probably with about 350 pounds, whereas Bigfoot is reported to appear much bigger at 800 pounds. Well, I've never experienced skunk ape. Perhaps maybe I saw Bigfoot. I don't know. But something is odd. There's too many people. See, and this is what bothers me. There are so many people that are quick to say, oh, they don't exist. Then you need to explain to me why a game warden in Alaska went on my show, and he is not one of those people that, he's a straight shooter kind of a guy. He saw it. There are many people, hunters who have seen this thing. There are far too many people that are reporting the same story. So they're seeing something. So, no, actually, number one, if he would have done that, he would have had his license pulled. He was a game warden. He was working. So you can't do that when you're working. You can get in serious trouble. I don't know if they're interdimensional or not. The thing is there are too many people that are seeing this. You know, if it was only one or two people, but there are thousands of reports over centuries reporting this. So I don't know. I don't know if I saw that or not. I saw something. I don't know what it was. So, yeah, actually, I've actually heard that argument before. They were leftover giant cavemen. It does. Yeah, Jules, it does. There have been cases where people have had rocks being thrown at their tents or big, huge tree limbs. As a matter of fact, I was in Colorado, and I always wanted to go up there and just check it out. Well, we came up to a location that looked like there was something had made this. It was like a little fort, not like a little round fort. Something lifted the roots of these trees, lifted them. There were no cut marks, nothing. I have it on video. So maybe I'll do my next presentation on Bigfoot. I'll show that video. But you can clearly see there's no axe marks to it. Something massive pulled these trees up from their roots, and they stacked it to make like a shelter. So I don't know what it was, but I know that I didn't see any axe marks because I specifically looked for them. So that was in Denver. Oh, well, right now the lecture was over, so now we're talking or answering your questions, and I'm doing articles. So if you have any questions, yep, we do all the time, Dr. Love. We do it all the time. We're here 6 days out of the week, and every single day, all 6 days we do. I don't see you, though, at Bible study, and we do Bible study every Sundays and Wednesdays. We do night prayer where we pray for each other every Sunday through Friday. So maybe you would love to join us and tell everybody also that we're supposed to love God. Okay. Oh, Jennifer, you grew up in Appalachia? Yeah, the Appalachian Mountains, I mean, that's pretty amazing. Yes, so I have performed now 34 exorcisms. What? I have no idea. Carrie, I don't know. Yeah, the Jersey Devil, there's something interesting there. What is trolling? Trolling is when someone is actually sadistic. It's not normal. It's abnormal behavior. It's when you go around and you use your words to try to hurt another human being. And then you sit back and watch and hope that it actually does. That actually is the very definition of sadism. A sadist is an individual who loves to hurt people, whether through their words or their actions. And they sit back and they get enjoyment by watching their evil behavior. That actually 100%, that is demonic. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. None. There's no way you can, because, and I've said this before, if you truly have Christ in your heart, you would not troll another person. You just wouldn't. So trolling is a symptom of demonic influence. That's all it is. Anybody who actually enjoys using your words to hurt another human being, that's very abnormal. And unfortunately on social media, we are normalizing that behavior. And that's a sickness. That is a sickness. Okay. Yep. Yeah, you can absolutely cannot. You cannot call yourself a Christian and troll others. It's incompatible. All right. I didn't say that. No. So everyone who doesn't believe in God is a demon. When did I say that? Never said it. I never said that at all. You didn't hear me say that? What I said is if you have Christ in your heart, you wouldn't troll. That's what I said. Anyway. This is too much bright. All right. Listen to this story, guys. This is a very interesting one. By the way, the 3-eye atlas. That's an interesting place, isn't it? Not that I'm aware of, Ginger. Was a forest in Vermont ever blessed? Not that I'm aware of. Yeah, not that I'm aware of. Okay. I didn't say you were trolling. Guys, please understand that TikTok is not the only presentation. This is just one chat. I have chats on, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 other chats. So I have 2 computers when I do this presentation. This is TikTok, and these are all the other presentations, all the other platforms. So, yeah, you know, Alyssa, that's interesting. It is interesting, isn't it? Marjorie Taylor Greene resigns. That was weird. Hold on, I just got a notice. Wow. Yeah, I just got a notice on that. Let me see what. Marjorie Taylor Greene resigns from Congress. I just got a notice. Wow. Well, there you go. Well, yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene, for those of you who want to know, she has resigned from Congress. I just got a notice. Yep, I just got it. Yep. I don't know. All right, listen to this. 3-eye atlas. Yeah, we're almost finished. Just listen. This is a very interesting thing. I said it 2 months ago when the darn thing started happening. I knew it was going to be a comet. I said it was going to be a comet. But it is interesting. I'll give it that. It's an interesting, the whole thing, yeah, that whole situation was kind of crazy. Blow this up here. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. TK Randall writes, the mysterious cosmic interloper has been captured on camera, and NASA, and insists that that it was just a comet. Well, duh. Now, Mr. Producer, I said it right here, live, that thing was a comet. The mysterious cosmic interloper has been captured on camera, and it's a comet. So at a press conference yesterday, NASA revealed new data and images concerning 3-eye atlas, an object from a distant solar system that had been careening through our own cosmic neighborhood, culminating in a closest approach in early December. Now, while most scientists remain adamant that the object is a mere comet, others, such as Harvard Professor Avi Loeb, have raised the possibility that it could be intelligently controlled, a possibility. Now, several anomalies have been pointed out in recent months, resulting in a great deal of debate over its true nature and whether or not it's really a comet is generally believed. And during the press conference, NASA furthered the notion that 3I Atlas is a mere comet by detailing its behavior by showing some new pictures, including one captured from Mars by the really cool, amazing camera there on board the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. Anyway, it's natural to wonder what it is, said Nicola Fox, Associate Administrator of NASA's Science Mission Director. However, it is, in fact, a comet. So yeah, we were quick to be able to say, yep, it definitely behaves like a comet. We certainly haven't seen any techno signatures or anything from it that would lead us to believe that it was anything other than a comet. So there we go, guys. I know people are going to look, and what I tell you, people went all over social media scaring everybody. Oh, it's this, it's an alien, it's going to blah, blah, blah. And where are they now? Why aren't they still making these videos? The videos have all of a sudden just disappeared. Just completely disappeared. I wonder why. Because it's a comet. That's what it is. Okay, I'm playing with the lights here, so bear with me for a second. I know. Okay. Yeah, just weird. Speaking of interesting, it's very weird. It's very strange. It's very odd. Speaking of Mr. Producer, I want to let you guys know. Of course, he's behind the scenes right there, but listen to this one. This is a very interesting. I've heard this before. This is fascinating. TK Randall writes this: an organ transplant patients may inherit traits of the original donor. Thank you. So researchers have suggested that organ donors may actually pass on some of their personality traits to the recipient. For some people with particularly challenging medical conditions, receiving an organ transplant is their only real hope of leading a normal life. Some cases even surviving at all. But with the medical miracle of organ donation and transplantation comes a peculiar side effect. Some scientists are only now beginning to recognize and understand. In some cases, donor organ recipients have been found to exhibit notable personality changes that may be consistent with the personality traits of the individual they received the organ from. In one case, 2022, Allison Conklin received a heart transplant. She gained a sudden aversion to eating meat, despite having no issues with eating meat before. Did she inherit her vegetarianism from her donor? Isn't that fascinating? In recent research, scientists have noted that bidirectional communication occurs. That's what it's actually called, bidirectional. Bidirectional communication occurs between the brain and the body's other organs, and that this phenomenon seems particularly prevalent in cases where a patient has received a heart transplant. So Conklin's experience after her transplant extended even further, still to strange sensations, to deja vu, even flashes of memories that were not of her own, as if remembering someone else's thoughts. Now, she couldn't have simply heard about these things either, because recipients aren't given detailed information about their donors. And according to a recent study, 89% of organ transplant recipients experience these types of phenomena. This is insane. Clearly, there is something to this, but exactly how it happens and why, it remains unclear. I think it's fascinating. I mean, so you get a heart transplant from someone you didn't know, obviously. You know nothing about that, nothing. And now you're having memories that are not your own. That's I have heard of a case of you had a liver transplant. So Matt, did you experience that? Matt had a liver transplant. Yeah, there is some imprinting. Well, thank you very much, Kim. So Matt, when you had your liver transplant, did anything change? Yeah, I will. I'll try, Patty. Because I have talked to people who've had transplants, and they've said that they've had, one person hated ice cream, hated extreme. They never liked ice cream, and they got a kidney transplant. And thank you very much. And they have to have their ice cream, their vanilla ice cream. They've got to have it almost every day. It's one of those, especially at night, which is interesting because the person that donated the organ eat ice cream, vanilla ice cream every single night. That's amazing. I don't know. They're like, oh yeah, no, I don't think that's no, they're raw. Matt says, I feel some things were different. He can't explain it. It really is interesting. Oh yeah. Well, this person prior they didn't like ice cream of any kind, but none. So they went from hating ice cream to they got to have vanilla ice cream every single night, every night. I don't know, guys. That's interesting, isn't it? Pretty fascinating. I want to remind everybody, make sure you go to this site. Mr. Producer, if you're still in the background, can you put up the KGRA site? And if you guys could do me a favor on TikTok, can you please, moderators, place KGRA, that website? Make sure you go there. If you click on the shop link and my name, please do that, guys. When you get those items, know that 100% of the profit that would go to me, we're donating to the MKS Kids Foundation. All right. And also, don't forget, if you go to my website, and Mr. Producer, if you could put my website up there. And if you can do this and scroll down to the middle, you'll see a brand new book. It is a paranormal investigator training manual. It's over 260 pages. It's my work. I am donating 100% of the profits to the MKS Kids Foundation. They are a legitimate a beautiful organization. They're an orphanage in Uganda, and they are truly doing amazing work. So guys, please make sure you purchase that book. That's really important because, again, 100% of the profits goes to them. And make sure you go to the KGRA site too and purchase. They have St. Michael products. They have St. Benedict product. They have really beautiful items. Christmas is right around the corner. And remember, 100% of the profits that would go to me, we're donating to the MKS Kids Foundation. I think that's fantastic. So, my friends, we're going to wrap things up. Don't forget, later on tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Night Prayer TikTok. Stay with me. I'll stay with you guys for a little bit. For all of you who are watching on all the other social media platforms, remember, I tell you, your value does not decrease based on a troll's inability or refusal to see your worth. You're priceless. Don't let anybody tell you or convince you otherwise. Hopefully, I'll see you tonight. God bless.